Jake has just asked me why I stopped being a Christian when I was younger.
Well, I mean, I guess it was like two things. One, I started to think more about hell, and that didn't make sense to me. And I also grew up like a really hardcore young Earth creationist who thought that was like inherently tied to Christianity. And when I had a problem with that, then I had a problem with Christianity as such.
Hmm. See, I'm the opposite. I didn't grow up Christian at all. I actually grew up Jewish,
Hmm.
and then I left that. And I didn't really believe in anything, and then I kind of had an encounter, and now I'm where I'm at, dude.
An encounter?
Yeah. You know, got to a really dark place in my life, man, and just had some big stuff happen, and it was just it was really bizarre. I don't know.
So it sounds like something pretty personal.
Yeah. But I don't. What do you what's your disagreements with hell? Maybe you have a misconception of it, and let's see if I could try and
Well,
see.
I mean, so I could describe my issue back then. So, like, this was my line of thought, right? That I took hell to be the worst possible, worst possible situation for something to be in,
Mm-hmm.
and I started to think to myself, like, so God's plan, um, it must require some beings to be in hell. Uh, Otherwise, hell wouldn't exist, right? Like
Uh,
the way God wants the world to be requires the existence of hell.
not necessarily. So hell was not created for us. Uh, hell was created for Satan and his legion. That's what it's meant for. He created that after that all happened. And
Well,
I think of
if God could have, like, presumably, for whatever goal God had in mind, God had to deal with Satan in the way that he did.
what do you mean?
Well, I don't know what God's goal is, right? Like, we could really only say his glory. Um, to achieve whatever goal he had, could God have dealt with Satan in a different way, or did he have to do it the way that he did?
He had to do it the way that he did.
Yeah, so hell is necessary for God's ultimate goal.
Yeah. You could say it like that. And we have to understand that God has these metaphysical properties. God cannot act outside of them. Okay, God cannot commit evil. God cannot be logical. Stuff like that. Everything that makes God God, he cannot act outside of that. Or you'd be an illogical God and cease to exist. Um, so everything he does is in accordance to his nature. So we see like hell itself, right? God isn't like personally, I guess, sending you to hell in a way. You're more as though sending yourself there, because we have to see that God, it states God is all good, and that's a big statement to hold.
Yeah, but hell's not
And
a physical place that I climb a ladder down into, right?
it's eternal separation from God, because God is all good, and God cannot associate himself with sin or evil. And if you do not choose to follow God and absolve your sins through Christ, God cannot associate himself with you because you are tainted with sin, which is evil. And if he did associate himself with you, then God wouldn't be all good, making God a liar, making God illogical.
Well, do you think God is capable of doing otherwise?
It would literally make God illogical. No, God cannot act outside of his nature. It's like if someone claims to be God would be a walking contradiction if he claimed to be all good and then hung out with or accepted people that were not absolved in sin and evil, right? God cannot associate himself with evil. No.
So I'm
Because
asking,
just in this what's
how
up?
about this? Like the universe has this number of stars, right?
Yeah.
At creation, let's talk at the point of creation. God made this number of stars. Could he have made one less star?
I'm that's kind of like I'm not really sure. I can't really. That's like saying, oh well, if God would have left out one particle, is that I don't really. I can't answer that question, right?
Yeah, because to me, it's a question of like whether or not God is a person or an agent like us, right? Does God choose what to do, or is he more like physics? Like physics just does what it does. It doesn't think about what to do. Gravity can't do otherwise because it's just gravity.
Well, I don't
Is
think
God like
God
gravity?
necessarily. I don't think God thinks in the way that we think. I think God just does, and everything that he does is within his nature.
I would say the same thing of gravity.
I mean, yeah, sure. If gravity had the capabilities of deciphering good and evil and justice and mercy and
Well, not what gravity does, but just the fact that gravity just does what it does because it's gravity.
I mean, yeah, but God still holds sentience. Do you like God is still
if
a
sentience
sentient being?
doesn't entail being able to do something like make one less star, and I don't know what it means.
I'm kind of confused on where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Well, when we say God couldn't do otherwise, when it comes to Satan and hell and our eternal states,
Well, I mean,
is it he couldn't do otherwise because that would be wrong, or he couldn't do otherwise in the exact same way that gravity can't do otherwise?
No, he couldn't do otherwise because that is the perfect amount of justness for Satan and his legion's actions.
Right, but does he
Yeah.
choose to do it? Like, could he do otherwise?
No, because if he does something that is less just than what it deserves, then that means God isn't all just.
So God, what he does what he does moral wise. For the same reason
So
gravity does what it does.
It's like if somebody claims to be all good, right? All good all the time, but then does something within trying to be all good, but it's not as good as it could be, right? Then you wouldn't be all good. If you claim to be all just, but then you enact a punishment for something that is way less than what it deserves, then you wouldn't be all just.
Well,
I just want to make a quick point to Discernible. Like, basically, the question you're asking is kind of nonsensical. So it's like, could a plane be a submarine? If it's an all-knowing plane, then it could be an all-knowing submarine. Like, so these are contradictory statements according to God. It is though. Like, you're asking a question which does not make sense.
That's not true at all. I'm asking if God is a person.
God's not a person.
Or rather an agent.
Well, you need to define these words. I know you like to say things like, "Oh, is an agent?" Like, what is he? What is
God?
He? Yeah.
Could God think to himself?
Could a good God?
Should I create?
Hold on.
Could he create a rock
stars?
that's heavy enough that he can't lift? Right? Yeah.
Should I create 1,000 stars or 1,001 stars? Does God have a thought like that?
Does God have a thought like that?
Yeah. Did God think?
Why are you asking us what we think God?
Or
what do you think? What are you asking?
Okay, wait. I can actually answer this question. I can answer this question. No, well, God is perfection. So, if God is perfection, also, then everything He does is within perfection. So I don't think that God. I think everything that God has made and contributed to is perfection within His properties that He holds. Yeah.
Well, but are you saying that creating 1,001 stars, or the number of stars He did plus one?
Why are you talking about stars?
What would this matter? I'm
confused.
I'm not. Wait, I don't even want to be mean.
I'm talking about
No, I'm not either.
I'm talking about non-moral agency. Right?
What?
Like a use of God's agency that has nothing to do with morality.
Okay, cool. Yep.
So good God created one more star than he did.
1,000 stars. Yep. Cool. He created.
Are you looking to have a conversation? Or are you looking just to find like a gotcha moment? This feels like you're trying to search for a gotcha.
No. I don't think he has a gotcha. I think he has a gotcha.
Or are you like genuinely curious? I don't know, and I don't want to I don't want you to. You could be truthful. I don't want you to say that you're genuinely curious, and then it's just going to end up being a gotcha moment.
No,
I'm just trying to clear up my own confusion here, because when people say God can't
you're an atheist. You have no confusion, right? You don't have confusion.
When
you're trying to clear up our confusion.
I don't always know what they mean by that.
No, because as an atheist, you don't have confusion, right? You're very comfortable and knowledgeable in your position, right? We are the ones with confusion. You're not trying to. No, you're not trying to clear up any of your position.
That's correct. I'm trying to clear up your position.
Exactly. Thank you. You just agreed. Yep. So
of course, that's why I'm asking.
Don't
questions.
act like you're trying to clear up any of your confusion. You are very firm in your position. You are trying to distinguish, quote unquote, our confusion. Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to figure out what you think.
I think.
Well, at least you agreed that you claim you have no confusion.
Do you want me
to
be
have a
honest?
very clear view.
Do you want me to be honest?
I'm confused about my own views. That's true.
Do you want me to be honest? Do you want me to be honest about your question? I don't think it really matters. I don't think it's like something that's like, oh, if he created one more star or one less star. I don't think that's something that really I should really care about as a Christian. I don't think that that's something that's a deal breaker or not.
Well,
do you know what I'm saying?
Like I'm just trying to figure out if you think God thinks about what to do and then decides what to do.
I'm not really sure. I don't think he would, because he wouldn't have to, being all knowing.
Because not thinking about what to do, to me that makes it comparable to gravity. Like gravity doesn't figure out what to do; it just does what it does.
I mean, I guess, but God is an all-knowing being. Everything he does, he knows what to do. Like he knows what to do already. I mean, when you let's say, I don't want it to sound bad, but let's say you have instructions in front of you and you know what to do. Do you necessarily have to think about what you're doing if you already know it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I read instructions to make things, and I have to think about.
And that wouldn't be, but that wouldn't be you being an agent. That would just be you knowing what to do.
But I could go drink water otherwise instead of making the thing.
I mean,
I could decide to try and improve the model, blah, blah, blah.
But he doesn't need to improve the model because he knows what the best model is, because he's perfection.
Yeah, saying he doesn't need to, it's not the same thing as saying he could or could not.
Yeah, but he's not going to, because he's perfection.
But my question is, could he? I'm just asking, could he think, okay, I'm going to create one more star?
If God is perfection and he creates something that is not perfection in that way, then wouldn't that just make him an illogical God?
You're suggesting that creating one more star would be illogical?
It would be illogical to act outside of God's nature while holding that nature, yes.
Okay, so if creating one more star would be illogical, then I think we'd say that about all of God's actions, right?
No, I would disagree, because all of God's actions are within his nature. What would be illogical is if God acted outside of his nature.
Like God does what he does because of his nature, and he can't do otherwise.
What? Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to word it like that. Yeah, I mean, if you claim to be something, but then you do something otherwise, otherwise what you're claiming to be, then you wouldn't be the thing that you're claiming to be, right?
But you don't have to claim to be the thing. Like, that's true of gravity. Gravity doesn't claim to be anything, and it just does what it does.
But we're talking about the essence of God. Are you familiar with the Trinity? I mean,
yeah, but then I ask, like, why does God claim to be that? And the answer to the question, why does he claim to be that?
It's because that's what God is. That's what it's not. It's I shouldn't even use the word claim. That is literally what God is.
Right.
3 distinct persons, 1 essence. The essence is God.
So, like, do you see my point? Like, I think that everything you're saying about God is equally said of gravity or any other thing that, like, doesn't think about what to do, can't do otherwise.
I guess, sure, man. Like I think you think too deep into it, and you're not really understanding the position that I'm holding because you don't want to understand it, and that's fine. That's okay. But
to me, it sounds like maybe I missed some of the conversation, but to me, it just sounds like you both are kind of in a weird way restating the law of identity. God is God. He is not God. He is what he is.
Well, like my question, like my original question was, well, my first original question was, could God have dealt with Satan in a different way? And my second question was, could God have created one more star than he did at the point of creation?
Yeah, but you just asked 2 of the same questions and just worded them differently. But I already answered
the answer to both is, like, he dealt with Satan the way that he did, and he created the number of stars that he did because of his nature.
Yes. Yeah.
So that to me that does seem like some form of like necessitarianism or something, where it's like there is no real option. There are because God's nature is just so, it is just what it is. This is the only thing that could have happened.
Exactly.
And there is a real objective morality and a real objective meaning and purpose. These things are all very attractive ideas to me. But, just like discernible, I have these things, many different things for me, which are a roadblock to me believing that it's actually true. And I don't think it's like disingenuous or like a gotcha moment if I'm going to air these problems. Because in an optimal world, personally, someone would knock down all these roadblocks for me, and then I would be able to believe it's true. That would be good.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer it. I'm not really sure.
No, but I'm saying what that is necessarily going to require is going through those so-called gotcha moments. So just like with discernible, like I don't know, I don't want to presume what you think discernible, but like I'm guessing, at least in theory, you're not against the idea of like a loving, merciful, just, good, kind creator that has a plan for you and wants you to have a wonderful, you know what I mean? Like that idea doesn't sound bad to you, right?
Well, I have an issue with the idea of eternity.
Okay. As in, you don't like the idea of being eternal?
I think that it's impossible to be an eternal agent. And so if humans go to heaven, right? Like if humans do go to heaven, they will cease to be agents. They'll cease to care about what happens next.
All right.
Are you saying that's inevitable, or are you saying you just think it's likely?
In an eternal perfect situation, yeah, there's no caring about what happens next and no reason to do anything in particular next.
Have you ever tried to seek God at all, or have you been open to it, like recently, or did you just shut it down whenever you? Okay, well,
who are you talking to, Jake?
Discernible.
I'm open to like a great deal, many possibilities. For example, a book I really enjoyed reading a while back argued that while God doesn't exist now, God could come to exist in the future, just poof into existence. Right? I'm open to that idea, so I'm open to a lot of things.
I don't know. I feel like, are you open to like what the Christian God is at all, or no? Do you completely shut that out?
Basically, you got nothing to lose. I think
there's a great variety of Christian gods, like different conceptions of the Christian God, and somebody can probably cobble one together that is more or less acceptable.
All discernible. All Christians agreed in their concept regarding God. It's
They really
we all have to go back to the Bible. Anyway,
Not in the
you know
details
what?
I care about.
Yeah.
You know what?
Lisa, that's not true at all. Many, like, for example, some Christians reject the Trinity. That's a pretty big deal. Some Christians believe God is. I know.
True. That's true.
They still believe in God. They believe in Jesus. They believe in the ransom sacrifice. They believe in